Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hi, Team Healthy. I want to talk to you today about how each one of us has the challenge to know how to be right. Now, you understand that every one of us has a certain set of values and standards and principles that we want to maintain, and it's reasonable as we move forward in our relationships and the tasks that we have to say, well, I have some things that I would classify as right, and I have some things that I would classify as wrong, and I would want to make sure that those the beliefs that I have are going to guide me in a very intentional, purposeful kind of way. Now, all of that's fine and good until we engage with that narcissistic person. The narcissist is someone that has a very, let's say, less than healthy relationship with right and wrong. Narcissists are prone towards one extreme or the other. On one hand, these individuals can be incredibly dogmatic in the way that they think. They can be very agenda-driven. They can be very fixed in their way of thinking to the extent that they couldn't care less about what somebody else thinks. It's just all about themselves. On the other extreme, you have some narcissists who will rebel against norms. It's like, you're not going to tell me what to do, and I'm not going to conform to anyone. I'm my own person, and if you don't like it, too bad. It's just going to happen anyway. Now, I want to talk with you about both of these different extremes, and then after I do, I want to throw a little twist on this to just make the plot that much more interesting. Now, first, let's look at that narcissist who says, I am right, period, end of discussion. You ever been around that kind of person? When you have that narcissistic individual, keep in mind that these individuals have a real high need for control, low levels of empathy. They must be superior. They're very selfish. It just all stands to reason that these people are highly imperative. You've perhaps heard me use that word before when I say they're imperative. There's no room for discussion. There's no room for dissent. You're supposed to conform, or if you don't, you're going to be punished. Now, this begs the question, well, can a person, especially that narcissist, actually be too correct? And the answer is, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. And let's just take a look at some possibilities. Let's suppose that you're managing a schedule, or you're managing a work project, or you're managing money, or just simple chores, wherever you happen to be. That narcissistic individual is going to say, well, good thing you have me around, because I'm going to tell you how it has to be. And they can be very forceful in the way that they try to superimpose their preferences on you. Or it could be that you're trying to coordinate acts or events with one another. You have family gatherings, you have social gatherings, and the narcissist says, well, I'll be in charge of telling everybody what to do, and if you don't like it, I'm still going to be in charge of telling everybody what to do. In the way that you discipline your kids, the rigid narcissistic parent can be very harsh and stern, and they emphasize obedience over anything and everything. They take a very authoritarian approach with respect to that. Or how about the way they manage their religious beliefs? Some of these individuals can have a belief that's so strong and so overpowering that it sets up an adversarial mindset. If you don't believe the same as me, then you've got some problems coming your way because I am correct. Or with the same can go with politics or social issues. It's like, well, a good thing you have me around because I'm going to tell you how to think. And their opinions can be overbearing and just non-negotiable. And in these kinds of cases, when the narcissist is in this extreme that says, I'm right, end of discussion, your difference from them is interpreted strictly as rejection. Oh, so you're coming against me, huh? And so you can see that their attitude of right and wrong leads to all sorts of potential problems. Now, let's take the other extreme, where you have that person that says, nobody tells me what to do. Now, ideally, when somebody is being dogmatic, which is these narcissists are pushing back against another person's control and dogmatism, actually, you can make a case for that. Just like you can make a case for being right in your own very firm kind of way. Nobody wants to be so hemmed in, so put inside of a cage that it's like, well, I have to do that or else it's curtains for me. So for that person to say, well, I don't want to have to just conform for the sake of conformity, you can make a case for that. But again, narcissists being what they are, having a high need for control and low empathy and a need for superiority, they tend to go to the extreme with respect to that. For example, these individuals who have the nonconformist approach to right and wrong think, well, I actually take pride in being unruly. When you get me, you're going to get a whole bunch of question marks because I don't want to be predictable. I don't want to be under anyone's purview. In addition, they have very poor future thinking. As narcissists shun traditional right versus wrong kinds of paradigms, they don't think, where's this going to go? Or what are going to be the natural repercussions? They don't like to think in that way. They're certainly not going to be philosophical about it in any kind of deep kind of way. In addition, they have a very low regard for the pain or the harm or the damage or the chaos they may create along the way while they're in their non-conforming kind of ways. These folks are thinking, you know what? It's all about me, and I really don't care if you suffer because of that. They're unwilling to be a team player. And when you come along and say, we need to have better coordination, we need to have a better meeting of the minds, their attitude is, too bad, you picked the wrong person. I'm not going to conform to anyone. So you have these two extremes, the extreme of rigid correctness, the extreme of rebellion against being told what to do. Now, I mentioned there's a twist. The twist is, and this is going to come as no surprise to many of you who've had to live with narcissists, the twist is some narcissists can take the worst of both extremes and put them together inside one person. That super rigid person can say, well, I'm going to be insufferably correct until my correctness doesn't necessarily suit what I want in the moment. And so then they can kind of fudge and cheat and not follow the rules, but then they go back to being correct all over again. And so they wind up being a contradiction with themselves. Or that narcissist who says, nobody tells me what to do, in their looseness and in their frivolity and rebelliousness, they can still have the mindset that says, yeah, and I'm the one who's going to call the shots around here too, and they're going to have their rigidity of their own standards of right and wrong. It's just not going to be traditional, and so they can be the very kind of person that they say they're rebelling against. Go figure. Now, when you have these two extremes, or the people that are a combination of both, there are common themes in both. First and foremost, and this comes as no shock, the false self is fully intact with each of these individuals. They refuse to examine their shadow self. And when I say shadow self, their unfinished business, and they're just trying to keep up a veneer. They don't want anyone to know what they're really struggling with. Now, right along with that, their sense of alternate reality becomes very strong and very powerful. And when I say alternate reality, when you come along and try to talk common sense to either one of the extremes, they're going to come back with some explanations. You think, where in the world did you come up with that kind of illogic? In addition, the commonality between these two extremes is integrity, is, shall we say, fluid. It comes and goes just based on what the need or the mood of the moment may be. Love and honor and respect is nowhere to be found. And even if they seemingly give those kind of characteristics for a while, it's conditional only. It's not really true to who they are from the inside out. Now, as we consider the narcissistic extremes and the approach towards right and wrong, I think it's good for us to ask, is there a middle way that you and I can go as we try to find a healthy way of approaching being correct and pronouncing an incorrect thing upon circumstances in front of us? Now, my answer is yes, it can happen. Now, it requires humility and it requires maturity and patience and a certain amount of tolerance when you're dealing with folks. But in a healthy approach towards right and wrong, we're going to remind ourselves that that relationships are not a competition. We're going to take that competition out of the equation. And by that, I mean, we don't want to look at people and think, well, one of us is going to have to be the winner. One of us is going to have to be the loser. Because when you win, what do you win? When you win the right to gloat or have dominance over someone else. And I don't want to go that way. Also, as you try to take that middle ground, you're going to prioritize listening. And it's so interesting that some people think, well, if you're an empathetic person or listening, that means you have to let go of your convictions. No, you can still hold on to your convictions, but I truly want to know, not for manipulative purposes, but I truly want to know what makes this other person tick. Why do they think differently from me? And how can we figure out how to approach one another with an understanding of each other's needs at the core? In addition, when we are engaged with one another and as differences come along in our pursuit of right and wrong, we can still look for common ground. I may not agree with you on everything, but there's something I assume that we can agree upon. What might that be? And can we minimize some of the antagonism that's there? And then, as I just mentioned, we can prioritize what I refer to as the higher priorities in life: love and respect and human dignity and honor and common decency and kindness and self-restraints, especially in moments of conflict. And then we can understand that maybe correctness isn't the ultimate good. Here on Team Healthy, one of the things that I strongly emphasize is the supreme correctness is love. And that doesn't necessarily break down into hard black and white kinds of things. If my approach to right versus wrong inhibits my ability to love, that means that I've missed the boat entirely. I want to be a loving person with integrity intact. I think that in the healthy way of thinking, we can have both. Now, I hope that videos like this can give you some good insight as to what you might be dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. I consider it a privilege when you allow me to be on the journey with you. Now, you know that I'm a strong supporter of therapy. And I know that when you're dealing with things like this, you could use some help. You know, I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. As the need is there, please, I implore you, get the help that would be necessary. I've had so many people that have thanked me about the urge to get counseling because it can make such a difference. We have a link below to the BetterHelp website, and they have a whole team of licensed professional counselors, therapists who can work with you. Now, in addition, I also have my courses, and I put a lot of work into these courses. That's my deep history of presenting seminars, etc. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos, and each video has handouts and guided questions. We have them on anger management called Anger Games. We have one called This Is Me, about establishing your healthy boundaries, and that's knowing how to be right within a proper context, of course. We have Free to Be, about being yourself despite the others controlling initiatives, along with Ready, Set, Connect, how to have healthy relationship connections. Also on my website, you'll find links to my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations on a wide array of topics, along with my articles, my books, so lots of resources. You know, it's necessary to know how to be right and know how to understand right versus wrong. We can go to those extremes, super rigidity, super rebellion, or we can have a combination of both, which seems pretty schizophrenic if you ask me. I use that word loosely. I'm hoping that you can join me in finding that middle ground, because in doing so, we can be influences of a much healthier way, and also it allows us to be steady, and then ultimately it can take us into a place of peace. The narcissist may not be able to join you there, but you can go inside that space of peace.